to Dare to Create. My name is Sujata. I'm the president and CEO of Chicago Foundation for Women. Many, many thanks to the Chicago Public Library and RVA for co-sponsoring this event. The library has been a steadfast and generous partner on this event for the past several years, and RVA is one of our longtime grantee partners who are working to keep women and girls in our region safe and secure from sexual violence. Thank you both so much for partnering with us. For more than 30 years, Chicago Foundation for Women has been committed to a vision where women and girls have the opportunity to live in safe, just, and healthy communities. Last year, we made over $2 million in grants, impacting over 75,000 women and girls in our region on the issues of health, violence, and economic security. But we're more than a grant maker. Our Women's Leadership Initiative trained more than 1,000 diverse women leading nonprofits over the last 5 years. We support research that shines a light on issues that women and girls face, including an annual status of women and girls in our region. This year, we had over 130 hosts who convened conversations about sexual harassment and gender bias as part of our annual conversation series, Talk It Out. We were proud to be the fiscal sponsor and partner to the Women's March Chicago, which saw unprecedented levels of activism among women and men, girls and boys. So this evening's public event continues our civic conversation in the many ways in which we can use our voices, particularly through art, and dare to change civil society. So before I turn the podium over to Malia, if you're interested in learning more and getting involved with Chicago Foundation for Women, as a start, please join us at our annual luncheon on September 18th, where Ali Reisman will discuss the ongoing national conversation around sexual harassment, abuse, and #MeToo. Please join me in welcoming Malia Schofield Ransom, who will get the show started. Malia?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Sujata, for the introduction. As she said, my name is Malia Schofield. I will be your host for tonight. Before we get started, can I hear a little woo-woo? A little woo-woo? All right, keep that energy tonight. I love it. Thank you all so much for being here on this Thursday night. Before we get started, I just want to give you a little lay of the land for tonight's performances. So some of the content this evening will be dealing with mature themes, including sexual assault and trauma. If at any point you need to take a break and step out or talk to anyone, we have space outside with a counselor from Rape Victim Advocates. Anyone in those white CFW shirts can point you in that direction should you need to leave. We will also have a short Q&A at the end of the performances, so you should have received a card on your way in. So if at any point you think of a great question, please write that down. We will be collecting those cards at the end of the evening. So with that being said, are you guys ready for some art? I said, are you ready for some art? Yes, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. So on deck, we have Patricia, but coming to the stage, we will have LaTanya from Second Story. As a writer, LaTanya Lane is interested in how we use stories to construct and navigate our experiences. She is a company member with Second Story, which is Chicago's longest running storytelling. That was a long tongue twister, which is Chicago's longest running storytelling performance organization. Second Story finds value in storytelling and its ability to draw people together. They work to create spaces where people can share and deeply listen to one another's stories. So please join me in warming the stage for LaTanya.
It was after dinner at Camp DeSoto, a Christian summer camp for girls aged 8 to 16. Being 19, I was on the kitchen staff, and a job I thought would be backbreaking, but mostly turned out to be setting table for 200 plus campers, and cleaning 1/6 of a kitchen floor. After a few weeks, I'd come to enjoy the rhythm of our daily tasks and the occasional ice cream bar I'd grab after Sunday evening's dinner. After I'd finished my responsibilities one Tuesday evening, I stepped outside and for a moment let myself feel lucky. How on earth was I possibly getting paid to do light work in a camp that smelled of health? Tonight was one of our 2 nights off during our 8 weeks at camp. Rather than head off site, I decided to stay and take advantage of having the communal phone all to myself. I called home, and my 17-year-old brother, still in the throes of his awkward and aloof teenage years, answered. "Hi, baby brother. It's so good to hear your voice. How are you?" "Hey," he replied. "How are you? How are things?" "Fine." "Okay. Is mom or dad around?" "Mom's in the hospital." This was news. If my family's going to a doctor, it's usually Dr. Jesus. "What's wrong?" "Doctors don't know." "Did this happen today?" "She's been there for over a week." "Oh, over a week? But wait. What about work? Who's working?" "Nobody right now, but don't worry about it. We'll figure it out." We stayed on the phone for a few more moments before I realized that was all the conversation I was going to get. We hung up and I headed back to the kitchen staff cabin. I had so many questions and no one to ask them to. My mom being sick, that didn't really worry me. Her illness was new, and in my youth, I just figured she'd bounce back like everybody did. But I knew something about missing work and the snowball of chaos that could create. My family experiences the kind of poverty that Atlantic articles are written about. Systemic, generational, seemingly impossible to escape. Being hospitalized was just the type of issue that could wreak havoc on my family. My mom doesn't get paid time off when she's sick, and hospitals are expensive, hence our appointments with Dr. Jesus. One of my main thoughts when I left for college was that I was taking a paycheck with me. How would they make up the difference? And now, with mom sick, that's 2 paychecks missing. After that phone call, the worry curdled inside me, and when the rest of the kitchen staff came back from their night out, I pretended to sleep rather than look at their unworried, happy faces. At staff devotions the next morning, the worry in my chest festered as I sat huddled next to the other camp staff on wooden benches so close to the floor our knees were almost parallel to our chests. Surrounding me, the other women on staff chatted sleepily while I kept mostly to myself. Devotions began, and after a reflection, staff were invited to share their joys and concerns. Technically, joys and concerns were a space for everyone to share their struggles and triumphs, but typically it became a space for the counselors to lift up the struggles and triumphs of the girls. "Pray for Emily. She still hasn't found a place where she belongs. Candace misses home and cries every night. Pray that she gets less homesick." I want to share a joy. Becky got to the top of the climbing wall the other day. She was so proud. This part of our morning routine had been an anchor for me, a way for me to find a connection between myself and these women who seemed so different than me in their seeming moneyedness and mostly whiteness. I thought connecting through our love of Jesusness could be enough. But today was different. The worry opened up what I'd been trying to bind all summer and confirmed what I'd feared. I didn't belong with these smiling, happy girls whose lives seemed so light. For them, working as kitchen staff meant something to do in the summer. For me, working as kitchen staff meant food and housing for an entire summer, topped off with an incredible $1,600 check. Leaving morning devotions, I felt the worry infect my sight. I felt blind to Becky's trouble with the climbing wall or Emily's challenge making friends. My heart bubbled with something that felt like hate, and it troubled me. I'd worked with children my entire life. I knew they were anything but responsible for their positions in the world, but I had no room in my heart for their hurts or concerns. And why should I? I knew each of the girls' parents had spent $2,000 to send them here. As I left the staff cabin, I could only think mathematically. $2,000 equals 4 months' rent from my parents. I avoided looking at the climbing wall as I passed, not wanting to set eyes on kids who didn't even know they had it so good. Now, look, I know it's a little weird for me to tell you a story about how angry I was being a poor kid surrounded by rich kids. I think it's a little weird too. But the rage that grew from that worry has created this huge divide in our country. And whether you sit on the have enough side or the not enough side, talking about money is usually soaked in shame. Clearly, figuring out our country's money problems has to include making sure people have what they need to be okay, but can it also include figuring out how to talk about these things without the shame and hiding that have been at the heart of it? So, that rage is where I was when I went to visit Sue Henry. One of my responsibilities as a member of the kitchen staff was a weekly, hour-long visit with Sue, a septuagenarian who lived on the grounds. When it got warm, she would push her twin bed out onto her covered porch and sleep there every night until the chill returned. She'd worked at the camp in her early 20s and spent the next 60 years of her life dedicated to its success. She held a kind of camper emeritus position, doing whatever she preferred, and what she preferred was talking with the kitchen staff. This week, as I went to visit Sue, I tried to clear my head. Pines and cabins dotted either side of the path, the trees eventually taking over until suddenly I was in a tiny clearing, Sue's cabin right in the center. She was on the porch wearing white linen, her short white hair flying about in a breeze. Her face broke into an intricate network of wrinkles as she smiled and waved me towards her. I climbed the steps and moved to the side of the porch with rocking chairs, taking the one facing away from the bed. "Let me get you some water," Sue said in a voice that creaked with age. I nodded and accepted the glass with a thank you. This was my 4th visit with Sue, and I'd come to know that she and I had a hygiene gap when it came to dishwashing. There were always floaties in the cup. I was sure she washed the cups, but they were definitely not clean. However, she was an elder, and I would rather drink floaties than insult her hospitality. So I grabbed the glass of water with a glob of something stuck on the side and drank quickly to lower the water line before the object had time to dislodge. During our previous visits, we'd talked about what I hoped to get from my time at camp, what I was studying at school, values we shared like humility and hard work. This week, we spent a few minutes praising one another for being English majors, and she shifted the conversation to what it meant to live a life of service and gratitude. Yeah, but the people who have things to be grateful for don't even know it all the time, I'd said. "What do you mean?" And then it all came surging. the rage at seeing so much wealth being squandered on something like summer camp when my parents might not be able to make rent. And then in Joys and Concerns, the counselors were talking about girls who couldn't make friends or were still homesick, that they could complain about anything just galls me, I'd said. Be careful there, Tanya, Sue said. It's a hard thing to realize, but hear me when I say, pain is pain. Even if it comes from a different place than yours, even if it's about something you don't understand, pain is pain. Life will be really hard for you if you can't learn to accept that. The tears on my face were hot as I nodded. Pain is pain. It was hard to swallow, but accepting it loosened something in me. Sue put a wrinkled, veined hand on mine and patted. Other people's lives might look easy. I'm sure your life looks easy to some, but here you are, feeling big pain. Her empathy lanced the boil of worry that I'd sat with since my conversation with my brother. And it's a lesson I still draw on, because I wasn't wrong. That summer did signal the time my parents' financial situation began a breathtaking downward spiral. They eventually lost their house, and Sue eventually passed on, surrounded by loved ones. And I am now at a point in my life where, with a little planning, I could spend $2,000 to send my son to a summer camp. Me. And I have a hard time being a person whose life might look easy. Because as much as things have changed, it's never not complicated. But in those complicated moments, I remind myself of that afternoon with Sue, as she patted my hand and we rocked together in the pine-scented clearing. The afternoon, I began the work of recognizing my own hurts and letting them help me acknowledge other people's pain. The work of learning that empathy doesn't only look down.
What a story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was awesome. One more time for LaTanya. Come on, give it up. Thank you. Yes. Yes, that was amazing. Thank you. All right, folks, we got another good one for you. So on deck, we have the Viola Project. And coming to the stage is Patricia. Patricia is a Chicago-based photographer. She currently has a series on sexual assaults in the collection of the Museum of Contemporary Photography. She's currently working on a book depicting the construction of Millennium Park and the destruction of high-rise public housing. Patricia recently completed an artist book and exhibit on rape survivors titled Into the Light. Please welcome her as she joins us on the stage.
Started in 2004. I collaborated on something we called Voices and Faces, interviewing and photographing women all over the country. And we traveled throughout the US, Canada, Mexico, and finally South Africa. Our intention was to interview survivors of sexual assault and talk to them about the aftermath of sexual assault and how they survived. We interviewed men and women of all ages and backgrounds and circumstances, and found ways, asking them how they found ways to get through their trauma. So the artist book that I created out of this body of work is called Into the Light. And it's a book, it's folded, it's a series of photographs, portraits, some of the portraits that we took crossing the country. And I printed them so that they would fold up into a box, and then I could take them out and hang them, and it would be in a wall of faces. And the whole aim of doing it this way, rather than doing an exhibit of portraits under glass, a conventional gallery exhibit, was so that when you entered a room and the wall of faces is hanging, you enter a whole world of experiencing the proximity of sexual assault and contemplating the diversity on the wall of men and women and who have survived sexual assault. I included in the exhibit captions, a few captions that are quotes from the interviews of things that women said to us, but I haven't told their stories. Their stories are not in the exhibit. And I did this on purpose because I wanted the viewer I really wanted to avoid the usual kind of language around sexual assault and maybe access new ways of talking about it. And so rather than focusing on who are the individuals, what are their stories, everybody has individual stories, but everybody suffers the same injury and suffering in the aftermath. So the portraits in the exhibit are also complemented by an essay by Jamie Calvin, who is my husband and the author of the book, Working with Available Light. I believe it's in your program. And it's the story of how, the aftermath of my assault and how our family dealt with it. So I'm going to show you the video just to give you a glimpse of what the exhibit looks like. And we made this video so that when I send it around to whoever wants it, they will know how to hang it. So this is the video. to say that throughout the years, meeting and photographing these women was really a privilege and an honor, and I wanted to create something beautiful for them. And my hope is that this book and exhibit, however people decide to use it, will prompt necessary conversations around sexual assault. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. That was so powerful. Keep in mind, we do have that room available, that safe room, if you need to take a moment for yourself. Other than that, I'd like us all to consider how language shapes our reality and the world we live in, and how intentional Patricia was about not including words just because we wanted to make sure that it was open and you got the real essence of why this project was even created. So thank you again one more time for Patricia, everybody. Yes. Thank you. All right, on deck we have Jackie. But coming to the stage is a group of young ladies with the group The Viola Project. The Viola Project is a CFW grantee, and they create a foundation for young women and girls to stand up for themselves through Shakespearean theater. The Viola Project works with schools and community organizations to create after-school programming and host summer camps for young women and girls. Please warm the stage for our young ones. We have Ruth, Gigi, Rama, and Dahlia coming to share some monologues with us.
Hello. The first monologue we're going to do is a monologue of Imogen from Cymbeline. Oh, for a horse with wings, hearst thou Pisanio? He is at Milford Haven. Read and tell me how far 'tis thither. If one of mean affairs may plot it in a week, why may not I glide thither in a day? Then, true Pisanio, who longest like me to see thy lord, who longest, oh, let me bait, but not like me, yet longest, but in a fainter kind. Oh, not like me, for mine's beyond. Say and speak thick. Love's counselor should fill the bores of hearing to the smothering of the sense. How far it is to the same blessed Milford. And by the way, tell me how Wales was made so happy as to inherit such a haven. But first of all, how we may steal from hence, and for the gap that we shall make in time from our hence going and our return to excuse. But first, how get hence? How should excuse be born or e'er be got? We'll talk of that hereafter. Prithee speak, how many score of miles may we well ride twixt hour and hour?
Hello. I will be playing Iago from Othello. Give it up while we fix it up.
I did this before the show, I promise.
And what's he then that says I played a villain when this advice is free? I give an honest, probable to figure indeed a course, to no more again. For 'tis most easy, the inclined Desdemona to subdue, in any honest suit, she's framed as fruitful as free elements. And then for her, to win a more, wouldn't renounce his baptism, all seals and symbols of redeemed sin. His soul so unfettered to her love, that she may unmake, do what she lists, even as her appetite shall pay to God with his league function. How am I then a villain to counsel Cassio to this parallel course, directly to his good? Divinity of hell, when devils will the blackest sins put on, they do possess at first with heavenly souls, as I do now, for while this honest fool plies Desdemona to repair his fortunes, and see for him plead strongly to the more. I'll pour this pestilence into his ear, and then for she pleads. I'll pour his pestilence in his ear, that she repels him from her body's lust. And by how much she strives to do him good, she's not under her credit the more. So I will turn her virtue into pits, and of her own goodness make the net, lash out and mess them all.
This is Tamara from Titus Andronicus. My worthy lord, if ever Tamara were gracious in those princely eyes of thine, then hear me speak, and indifferently for all, and that my suit, sweet, pardon what is past. Not so, my lord, the gods of Rome forfend I should be author to dishonor you. But on mine honor dare I undertake for good Lord Titus, innocence in all, whose fury not dissembled speaks his griefs. Then, and my suit, look graciously on him, lose not so noble a friend on vain suppose, nor the sour looks afflict his gentle heart. My lord, be one at last. Dissemble all your griefs and discontents. You are but newly planted in the throne, lest then the people, and patricians too, upon it to survey, take Titus' part, and so supplant you for ingratitude, which Rome reputes to be a heinous sin. Yield it, entreats, and then let me alone. I'll find a day to massacre them all, and raise their faction and their family, the cruel father and his traitorous sons, to whom I sued for my dear son's life, and make them know what 'tis to let a queen kneel in the streets and beg for grace in vain. Come, come, sweet emperor, come, Andronicus, take up this good old man that dies in tempest of thy angry frown. Hi, again. I will now be doing a monologue of Edmund's from King Lear. Thou nature art my goddess, to thy law my services are bound. Wherefore should I stand in the plague of custom and permit the curiosity of nations to deprive me, for that I am some 12 or 14 moonshines lag of brother? Why, bastard? Wherefore base, when my dimensions are as well compact, my mind is generous and my shape as true as honest madame's issue? Why brand they us with baseness, bastardy, base, who in the lusty stealth of nature take more composition and fierce quality than doth within a dull, stale, tired bed, go to the creating a whole tribe of fops got tween asleep and wake. Well then, legitimate Edgar, I must have your land. Our father's love is to the bastard Edmund. As to you, my legitimate, fine word legitimate. Well, my legitimate, if this letter speed and my invention thrive, Edmund the base shall top the legitimate. I grow, I prosper, now gods, stand up for bastards.
I will be doing a monologue by Lady Anne from Richard III. What? Do you tremble? Are you all afraid? Alas, I blame you not, for you are mortal, and mortal eyes cannot endure the devil. Avaunt! Thou dreadful minister of hell, thou hast but power o'er his mortal body. His soul thou canst not have, therefore, begone. Foul devil, for God's sake, hence, and trouble us not. For thou hast made the happy earth thy hell, filled it with cursing cries and deep exclaims. If thou delight to view thy heinous deeds, behold, this pattern of thy butcheries. Blush, blush, thou lump of foul deformity. O God, which this blood mades to revenge his death. O earth, which this blood drinks to revenge his death. Either heaven with lightning strike the murderer dead, or earth gape open wide and eat him quick, as thou dost swallow up this good king's blood, which his hell-governed arm hath butchered.
This is Helena from Midsummer Night's Dream. How happy some or other some can be. Through Athens, I am thought as fair as she. But what of that? Demetrius thinks not so. He will not know what all but he do know. And as he errs, doting on Hermia's eyes, so I, admiring of his qualities, things base and vile, folding no quantity. Love can transpose to form and dignity. Love looks not with the eyes, but with the mind, and therefore is winged Cupid painted blind. Nor hath love's mind of any judgment taste, wings and no eyes figure unheedy haste. And therefore is love said to be a child, because in choice he is so oft beguiled, as waggish boys in game themselves forswear, so the boy love is perjured everywhere. For ere Demetrius looked on Hermia's eyne, he hailed down oaths that he was only mine. And when this hail some heat from Hermia felt, so he dissolved, and showers of oaths did melt. I will go tell him of fair Hermia's flight. Then to the wood will he tomorrow night pursue her. And for this intelligence, if I have thanks, it is a dear expense. But herein mean I to enrich my pain, and have his sight thither and back again.
All right, what talented young ladies, right? Wow. How long did you guys prepare? Tell me later, tell me later. That was awesome. All right, you guys, that was great. I'm impressed, I must say. I didn't know what to expect, but that was amazing. Good job, you all. All righty, so on deck we have Rosita Cox, but coming to the stage is Jackie. Jackie Alcantara is a freelance illustrator. Her artwork has taken her from decoration on NBC's Chicago Fire to illustrating The Field by Baptiste Paul. Her print, Ladies Marching, inspired by the women's marches, was featured at CFW's 32nd annual luncheon in 2017. Currently, she focuses on children's literature and advocates for diverse main characters. So we're about to feast our eyes on some amazing illustrations. Please welcome Jackie to the stage.
Hello. That's a tough act to follow, these girls. They are amazing. All right. Find the clicker here. So I have a short presentation of some of the illustration work that I do for you guys tonight. I was originally a high school art teacher before I transitioned to illustration, probably about 8 years ago. I started pursuing this. And I do illustration for all sorts of things, video, marketing, posters, whatnot. But children's books and kid literature has become the main focus of my work. It's a really fun job to have. So let me see here. Oops. Oh, they're a little dark. I've never seen my work this big. It's kind of fun. This is Susan, and I'm going to spare you guys the very long saga for Susan. She never got published, but she definitely was the start of me being able to get published eventually. Yeah, so this was one of the first projects that I started working on. And her style and her character, her hair and her skin color was what really got me noticed by a lot of editors and art directors. When I started, it was the time when, it's not like a long, long time ago, but there was a Twitter campaign called We Need Diverse Books that started in 2014, which was kind of when I started really pursuing illustration. And it was geared around getting a lot of, or just building awareness about the fact that there's a very small percentage of children's books that have main diverse characters, as main characters, not as, you know, the best friend or the kid in the background or whatnot. So as main characters. So I did it subconsciously because you could tell it looks a little bit like me. But I have since then, become a lot more aware of the fact that there is such a great need for diversity in main characters in children's literature. And that movement has kind of expanded beyond just having kids as the characters represented and grown to really be encompassing the entire publishing field. So editors, illustrators, art directors, writers. There's like such a big need for people in all the different realms to be telling their stories. So every chance I get in any project, I include a woman or a girl because why not? So, as an illustrator, you kind of have a really good opportunity to tell, usually working with other people's words, but you have the opportunity to kind of invent your visual narrative. So the decisions that you make about what color the skin of the character, or if it's a girl or if it's a boy, where the setting is, what the socioeconomic, you can pull all of these things out of the illustrations that aren't necessarily in the text. So it depends a lot on the person that's illustrating it to kind of make those decisions. So if you have a wide range of people illustrating, then they're going to be, more interesting, maybe more, representative of the, society that we live in. So girls as adventurers, doctors, whatnot. That's me and my mom. Girls as artists. And when I thought about all of my favorite illustrators growing up, they were all older white guys. Well, I guess maybe they weren't old then, but, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. They're fabulous artists and still my favorites, but when I think about them them illustrating stories that are brought to me to illustrate, or other people, or other women that are brought, asked, to illustrate, they would bring a totally different perspective to the story. So they would be fabulous. I'm certainly not saying that if I was up against Marie Sendak, that I'd win, but it'd be totally different. And there's such a big need for all the voices to be represented. So fashion illustration, and then this was the poster I did out of pure anger in January 2017, thinking the world was maybe gonna end, but it didn't, and here we are still fighting. But I just really wanted to, and this was probably the first piece that I did that I saw the power that art can have to connect you to other people. When I did it and I put it online instantly, it just like spread like wildfire. People using it as profile pictures, as banner pictures, posting and reposting and starting conversations, and it was really beautiful to see. And I had never created anything like that was so profound to me. So, thanks. And I was really, really honored. So I did a fundraiser, and then, I actually found Chicago Foundation for Women through this because I wanted to connect with an organization and raise a little bit of money. And then I was really honored that they wanted to use it last year at the luncheon. So, and it kind of continues to, that's a little video I did. This was for I can't remember. A Dose Market. It was like whatever. And I continued to use it and license it to other people. It was just used to represent an event with women beat makers, so like a small group of women DJs doing an all-women's night. Oh, there it is. So it continues to march on and be used by lots of different people in totally different situations. So yeah, that's that. And hold on, I'm still trying to click. But what's coming up next? Oh, okay. So this was my first published book that came out in March. It's called The Field, written by Baptiste Paul. It's a really cute pickup soccer game on a tropical island in St. Lucia. It has some Creole words sprinkled throughout. So I got a grant and a mentorship through the We Need Diverse Books campaign a couple years ago, which really boosted, kind of just like went into full speed with getting my work and my name out there. So that was really, really super helpful. And I got a couple book deals like pretty soon thereafter. So the main character, who's in the bottom right, she actually started out as a little boy And then as I kept working on her character, or inspired from a picture of a little boy, I should say, I kept working on her character, and she just kind of became a girl, like somewhere along the process, I don't know. But I love it because a lot of people, like a lot of critics, book reviewers, and everybody has their own interpretation of what this main character is. A lot of boys think it's a boy. Most women think it's a girl. And some people just admitted that they weren't sure, and I loved that. I thought it was like it was a accidental, really great thing that happened. In my mind, she's a girl, but. Oops. So it's kind of, it's grown really important to me to represent, you know, kids of diverse backgrounds, but creating really authentic characters, because I think you can really tell the difference between a book that's sticking in a brown kid or a black kid or, you know, maybe a disabled child, just because you feel like you have to, instead of really diving deep into creating characters that are believable. Kids aren't fooled that easily, so yeah, that's all. Thanks.
That was beautiful, wasn't it? I really felt like I was there, like in some of those photos. It was awesome. Great illustrations. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, you all. Can you believe we're like getting close to the last few acts? I guess so. No, totally kidding, totally kidding. Okay, so on deck we have the Chicago Workers Collaborative Theater. And coming to the stage, we actually have a poet by the name of Rosita Cox. She's also a writer and producer from North Carolina, y'all. That was a poor accent. She moved to Chicago recently, though, and quickly found a home in the community. Cox is the co-founder of the People Say Open Mic series, which occurs monthly on 79th and Ashland. Did you guys write that down? Okay, we got a few. I'm from the South Side, so, you know, whenever there's something on the South Side, I'm like, all right, we're here. All righty. So, without further ado, please warm the stage and give her some Southern love like we know how. Give it up for Rosita.
Can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, say I love myself. Okay, thank you. Everybody snap. Oh, I love the way that sounds. So that's like poetry to a poet's ears, right? So if I am saying something that you like, please snap for me if you like it, only if you like it. Now everybody hit me with the Do it again. That's even more poetry to my ears. So if you hear something you really, really like, I like to hear that in the audience as well. It just makes the poem better. This first piece is called Knock Knock Zoom Zoom. It's about a game that we used to play when we were kids. Some people call it doorknob ditch, ding dong ditch, something like that. I call it Knock Knock Zoom Zoom. It was inspired by the fact that we used to play this game as black children. We would ring doorbells and run right, and it was fun and we felt free. But as we grew up, we were still black and we didn't feel free anymore. It was kind of, we were still running. So that's what this is about. I wrote this about 5 years ago. Wow, it's been a while. I'm from Fresh Collard Greens and Fish Fry Fridays. I'm from Knock Knock Zoom Zoom, in by sunset, up at sunrise, to the sounds of blackness blaring through my grandmother's living room. I'm from Grandma's soap operas, The Price is Right, Jeopardy, and oh, how she loved her Wheel of Fortune. I am from I Wish I Knew My Dad. How he missed my 11th birthday party. I now know it wasn't missed, but never in the plans. I'm from Mama getting high in the bathroom. Take 2 steps to the left, you'll hit a crack. I'm from Mama's crack pipe. From I got my ass beat the night I told her I found it underneath the rug in the bathroom. I'm from locked doors, sirens, knock knock, zoom zoom, run little black boy, you know you ain't from here. I am from where they shot that little boy while he was riding his bike. It's still in the streets, no one bothered to pick it up. I'm from the South, where they teach you to only speak when spoken to. Knock, knock, zoom, zoom was only preparation for the speed in which we needed to survive. Black pride beat into us with mama's belt and a white man's baton. I'm from burnt churches, burnt bodies, where the white man liked his fruit strange. They did everything to us but eat our flesh, stole milk from my great-grandmother's chest to feed their own and left us with nothing. I am from nothing, raised to be something but not given much to do so. I'm from where the number 9 means a lot more than the number that comes before 10, but it makes my stomach churn. The Charleston 9, the Little Rock 9, January 1st, 2009, August 9th, 2014, Michael Brown died. I am from where everyone knows what happened to Mike can happen to them too. Not Jackson nor Jordan, but Brown little boys, so don't let your pants sag. I mean, maybe just a little, but be sure you have a belt to tighten them so you can run. I am from when the cops come, be articulate. It doesn't matter if you call them to help you. Your actions, your skin tone can cause them to mistake your plea for help as a threat. I am from where if the suspect is black, driving a green Honda, it only makes sense to stop and frisk every black person, no matter Honda or Hyundai. If one did it, we all did it. But Dylan Roof got 250 miles before anybody recognized him. I am from where my brothers are still killing one another, and white folks using it to justify killing niggas too. But at least here we get to die with dignity, standing, not handcuffed but free. I'm from running, waiting, escaping, draped on mania. I'm from never blending in but always overlooked. I am from long nights and cold nights because my mama couldn't afford to pay up this month. I'm from her. A black woman with a story of pride, fight, strength, revolution. I'm from strength, I'm from revolution. I'm from no matter how long this poem could get or how ugly it may be, I'll always stand with dignity and walk with pride because I am from where they would do anything to take that away from me. Thank you. Thank you. This next piece, I have a deep love and passion for hip hop, mainly because of my older brother. We're 20 years apart, and I will always grow up listening to his music. And yeah, so first time I went to New York, I was absolutely amazed by all of the culture there and just hearing it in the songs that I listened to growing up and just being there. So I wrote this piece on the way back to North Carolina from New York. It's called Boom Bap Leaving New York. Imagine if the crowds in Times Square were singing instead of yelling, dancing instead of dodging. Could you imagine the party? Cab horns be our bass. I'm talking cipher circles at every corner. This life be our tracks, our crack, our motivation to dream. See, hip-hop was born in this city. We scribbled words on these walls. America called it vandalism. Well, fuck her, because this be our art. Our hearts keep us warm, and subway stations be like sanctuaries. You hear noise, we hear beautiful symphonies. You see circus acts, we see sacrificial praise to the city that raised us, and the God who made us put this rhythm in our veins so we can pop lock, gave us strength so we could carry this culture. America fell in love with it, wanted to claim it as her own, but this be our struggle, not your show, but real sweat, respect our hustle. America called us gangsters, but we be suppliers, providers. Called us monkeys when she saw us turn cardboard boxes into dance floors, but we turn misery into cavorting, resourceful. My people be turned foil into antenna, shoestrings into ribbon, shoe boxes into banks. America called us dealers, but we be entrepreneurs in these streets. This trap house be my marquee. We the ringmasters to this shit. Introduce you to all of it, so the next time you bob your head to the beat of our sacrifice, make sure you give thanks to Kool Moe Dee, Wonder Mike, Jay-Z, the Grandmaster Flash. We be y'all's founding fathers. Say thank you. You're welcome. But we didn't do this for y'all. This dancing, these acts, art, music be our heart. See, the show ends when you get tired, but these curtains never close for us because this is our life. Not ones we chose, but ones we wouldn't exchange for anything. So keep your money, keep your comfort. We'll keep our character, our culture. You can pay for a ticket to the show, but you will never know what it feels like to truly dance, like no one is watching. See, we threw vulnerability over a beat and created an entire genre of music. We didn't ask for this. You supplied this struggle, and just look what we did with it. Thank you. Thank you. So I was gonna end with the piece that I wrote for my older brother, but then I looked around and realized I was in an event for women by women, with so many beautiful women in the audience, so I'm gonna do the piece I wrote for my sister, because that makes more sense. So me and my sister have a really strong and close relationship. We're 7 years apart, but in many ways, she raised me and made me who I am. We had a mother who struggled with drug addiction our entire lives, so my sister stepped in. She was the one who got me dressed for school and helped me with my projects, and she's the reason why I went to college and did everything. I graduated from undergrad. She graduated from medical school on the same day. And yeah, clap for her! I'll let her know that you guys send your claps. She's in Baltimore now. But the first year she got out of medical school, it was very difficult for her. She was very depressed. If any of you know anyone who went through residency, it's very long hours. I know you guys watch Grey's Anatomy. It's not that fun. In real life, it's pretty bad. But also, she was a woman of color, and a lot of times she was leading teams, mainly men, mainly white people, and they didn't really respect her. A lot of times people wouldn't even call her Dr. Jones. They would call, it's like, people would ask her if she was like the help, like literally. So with all of that, I wrote this piece for her a year after we graduated. It's called Forkea. On the mornings you climb out of bed and it's still dark outside, when there's no one to roll over to, just emptiness, when all you can do is sigh, when there ain't no one to call because everyone's calling you. When the weight gets too heavy and the sun's so bright, you miss the darkness because you can hide there because the heavy just ain't that heavy there. Remember the possibilities you've paid for little girls who want to be just like you. You are a walking impossibility, the rose out of concrete. You are heavy with courage, soaked in strength. I wish you knew how bright you were, how many aspirations you sparked just by being. Remember this when you look in the mirror. When being glamorous just ain't important because you've got lives to save today, so you put yourself second. And when you are looking ahead at those you've put first, know there are people behind you too, watching. You are everything they want to be when they grow up. You are still everything I want to be when I grow up. You took on responsibilities that were never meant to be yours and made them yours and made them. You made me who I am, and you make struggle look so beautiful. You make black look so pure, powerful, wise, all of the things they said a black woman should never be. You are the epitome of them. When they look past your name tag and see your black skin and forget to put the doctor in front of your last name, tell them to put some respect on it. Tell them that this is more than a title, but centuries of fight, of oppression turned into possibilities. This is representation, this is purpose for little black girls and boys from broken homes who write down doctor when they are asked what they want to be when they grow up. And for those who laugh at it when they read it, we were never meant to be here. Never counted in, never written down, but listen to me. On the days you get tired, when you forget why you do this, on the days you feel like staying in bed is a lot more worth it, know this. You shine like supernovas. You are so powerful, you've already unlocked barriers they didn't have a key for in the first place, so keep going, keep soaring. You are the reason why so many now believe they can fly, just like you. Thank you.
Hold on. We gotta say some yes, poets. Oh my gosh. During your performance, my face melted and I was like, uh-oh, I gotta get back on stage in a second. That was amazing. I need to hear everybody say yes, poet on 3. 1, 2, 3, yes, poet. Yes, come on. Oh my gosh, what a night. And we got more for you. Coming to the stage is the Chicago Workers Collaborative Workers Theater. The Chicago Workers Collaborative Workers Theater is made up of Latino, African American, LGBTQ, female, and male temp workers from Chicago and Waukegan. Working with Jasmine Cardenas, CWC workers have developed their voices through theater. Their performances deal with their experiences of workplace exploitation, discrimination, and gender violence. Before we get started with them, though, do you have your questions ready? Well, if you do, please pass them along this way. Kyle-Ann, our lovely Kyle-Ann here, will be collecting your questions for the Q&A portion. If you are still jotting it down, I'm gonna give you like 2 minutes while we set up the stage for CWC. So please send in your questions and or comments if you don't have a question. And we'll be right with you guys in just a moment. All right, y'all, give it up for CWC Workers Theater.
Welcome to Carousel Staffing. Everybody here wants a job, right? Yes. All right, the first one we got for the bakery.
Okay. Hey, come on.
Buenas tardes, estoy buscando trabajo.
¿Cómo?
Estoy buscando trabajo.
¿Eres nueva? ¿Vienes por primera vez?
Sí, soy nueva.
¿Tu nombre?
Sandra Cisneros.
¿Perdón?
Sandra Cisneros.
Sandra Cisneros. Tenemos para chocolates, charolas, peluches.
Para los chocolates.
No, send her to the bakery.
Um,
Dale a pan.
ok, te vas a ir a la fábrica del pan. Necesitas irte ya.
Pero tengo que llenar la aplicación.
No, she
después,
doesn't have to
después.
fill out the
Vete,
application.
el raitero ya que
¿Me
ya se
va a
está
traer
yendo.
de vuelta?
Sí, sí te va a traer. A las 11:30. Vete, allá está el raitero, rápido.
Yeah, the van's right outside. Just get in the van right now. Hurry up. We'll fill out the application some other day. Okay, next.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, I'm here to look for a job.
Okay, let me see your application, please. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. You ready to work?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Anything that I should know about?
I do have a background.
You have a background.
Does that matter?
Of course not. We don't discriminate at Carousel Staffing. We have the carousel of opportunity. In fact, I have an opportunity for you.
Okay.
All right, this is a temp to hire job. So after 90 days, if you work really, really hard, you can become a direct hire worker and you get a $2 an hour increase. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay, and you're okay working in the hot oven, 120 degrees every day for 12 hours?
Whatever I need to do to make some money.
Okay, good. Van's right out back.
All right, thank you.
All right, you have a good day. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
Beep, beep. Muy buenos días, dice. Hurry up. Hurry up, hurry up. Allá atrás, por favor. Back to the bank. Hey, tú, aquí. Tú aquí. Valió la pena la espera.
Ooh, you were worth the wait.
Dele la lista a María Carmen, que se anote la nueva. Pone su nombre ahí, su número de teléfono, por favor. También tu dirección.
Write down your name, number, and address if you want your check.
¿Por qué te tardaste?
Porque mi esposo no me dejaba salir, está muy enojado.
Estás muy bonita, Valentina.
Problems. My husband doesn't want me to work. You're pretty, Valentina.
Si yo fuera tu esposo, tampoco te daría a trabajar.
Se pasa, oiga.
Usted cállese. ¿Está celosa o qué? Yo la voy a bajar de la ven.
If you were my wife, I wouldn't let you work either. Hey, leave her alone. Shut up. You jealous?
Te puedo meter a trabajar a las palomitas, a los chocolates, a los dumpers. Hay otras maneras de hacer dinero. ¿Quieres ganar más dinero?
No, gracias, no estoy buscando más trabajo.
I can call you later. I can take you to other factories.
Tengo tu número. Hay otras formas de hacer dinero.
Oh!
Tick tock, tick tock,
Tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
Fórmense.
Line up, line up.
Rapidito, que toca chequeo. Uñas no pintadas, celulares y aretes.
No earrings, no nails done. Line up.
Rapidito, no, ya sabe, María. María. Dígame, supervisor. Ya sabes que tiene que decirles, no uñas pintadas, no celulares, no aretes. La señora de allá para acá trae aretes. Mándala al comedor y ella también trae aretes. Que se cambien, que se quiten los aretes.
Valentina, la cafetería, despintarte las uñas y quitarte estos aretes. Línea 2, a formar. A trabajar.
Take those earrings off, Valentina, and then get back to work. Work, work.
Muevan esas manitas. En esta compañía tienen que venir a trabajar, no a estar parados. A las 3 de la tarde tenemos que entregar un camión con producción. 300 cajas se tienen que entregar. Así que muévanse. Paraditos no los quiero.
María, ven acá.
Dígame, supervisor.
Esa línea va muy lenta. Tienes que meterle presión. Tienen que mover
This
esas
line is
manitas.
too slow. You gotta put more pressure on them.
Tenemos que entregar una troca antes de 2 horas porque si no, el cliente se nos enoja. Métele presión.
You gotta fill that truck up with 300 boxes in 2 hours or the client's gonna be mad.
Esa señora de la segunda, de la blusa negra, no me da el rendimiento. Está muy lenta. Mándala para el comedor o cámbiala. No sé, ¿de qué oficina es o está de planta?
This lady with the black glass, she's too slow. Is she from the agency or she is a direct hire?
La señora es nueva. Empezó esta semana y viene de oficina.
Oh, she's new. They sent her over from the temp agency.
¿Por qué oficina es?
La new staffing.
Mándala al comedor. No me da el rendimiento. Sácala.
Send her to the cafeteria. She's not doing a fast enough job.
Señora Isabel, necesito hablar con usted. Por órdenes de la oficina, hoy es su último día en esta compañía.
By order of the agency, this is your last day.
Por su edad y bajo rendimiento va a tener que irse.
Because you're too old and too slow.
Por favor, yo necesito el trabajo. Le pido de favor que me deje trabajar. ¿Usted no va a llegar a la edad que yo tengo?
Please let me work. I need the work. Aren't you going to get to my age one year?
Eso a la compañía no le interesa. Las compañías lo que quieren es producción. Así que va a tener que irse a la cafetería, agarrar sus cosas y tenerse que ir.
The company doesn't care about that. We need production and you're not producing. So you need to go to the cafeteria, get your stuff and go home.
Por favor, necesito el trabajo. Deme el trabajo, lo necesito. Tengo que pagar mi renta, mis biles. Oh my God.
Eso no importa. Se tiene que ir. Agarre sus cosas o mando a llamar seguridad.
I'm going to call security on you. I don't care. You got to go.
Rápido, rápido. Va muy lenta esa línea, va muy lenta. No platiquen, no estén platicando.
Less talking, more working.
No estén hablando, esos legos tienen que ir bien puestos. ¿Eres nueva?
Sí.
You're new here, huh?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Valentina.
Oh, Valentina. Ustedes apúrense, no estén platicando.
Hurry up, less talking.
Valentina, hey. Qué bonitos ojos tienes, Valentina.
Valentina, what pretty eyes you have, and other things too.
Y otras cositas más, Valentina. Oh.
We'd like to invite you to help us to consider these scenes, and we'll begin with the last one. My name is Jasmine Cardenas, and we're going to do something called Forum Theater. We would love for you to consider if there was a moment in this last scene where one of the workers or someone on stage, one of these characters could have done something different to change something in the scene. Does everyone more or less feel like they remember this last scene? then we're going to start at the beginning of this last scene when they line up. And if at any point that you feel like there's something that could be done differently, you can shout out, freeze. And then we'd love to hear what your suggestion is or get an idea from you. Yes? Okay, so vamos a comenzar desde el comienzo de esta última escena. Cuando fórmense.
Fórmense. Línea 2. A trabajar.
Line 2, work.
Muévanse, muevan las manitas. En esta compañía se viene a trabajar, no a estar parados. Muévanse. A las 3 de la tarde tenemos que entregar un camión con 300 cajas. Necesito esa producción.
We need to give up a truck ready at 3 o'clock with all of the production. Hurry up, move those little hands.
María, ven acá.
Dígame, supervisor.
Esta línea está
Freeze,
muy lenta.
pardon. Yes? Would you be willing to come up on stage? You can. There's a staircase right over here. Come on up. Thank you. So would you like to replace someone or just join the line? Okay. So you want to talk to which specific person would you like to talk to? This one? Okay. Great. Should we just start from right here? Okay. Seguimos de este punto.
María, ven acá.
Dígame, supervisor.
Maria, come here. Tell me, supervisor.
Esta línea va muy lenta. Tienes que meter presión, que muevan esas manitas.
This line is too slow. You gotta put more pressure on them.
La señora esta, la segunda señora de aquí de la línea,
The second lady right there,
¿es nueva, viene por oficina o está de planta?
Es nueva, es su primera semana. Viene de oficina.
¿Por
She's new and
qué
she's from the
oficina
agency.
viene?
New staffing.
Descánsala, mándala al comedor. No me da el rendimiento, mándala al comedor.
take her off the line, send her back to the cafeteria.
Señora Isabel, necesito hablar con usted.
Who said that? Hold that thought 1 second. So I just want to check in. Could you tell that there's something different was happening? She was functioning. Because you couldn't hear the conversation, something interesting happened. Tell me your name? Tanya was explaining to Doña Isabel that to move along, and Tanya speaks English and Isabel speaks Spanish, and so they were doing hand gestures, but then finally Isabel said, packing, I'm packing, so it's a different activity. And this is actually hits at the heart of one of the real problems for workers. Companies purposely put monolingual Spanish speakers next to monolingual English speakers so they can't talk to each other. So although she wanted to help, which is wonderful and lovely, she didn't realize that it was A, hard to communicate, and B, that they actually had different tasks, which is maybe more of a fact of the pantomiming than anything else. But can we give her a hand? I saw somebody else said...
The young lady in blue.
Yes? They kind of can. They are disapproving a little bit, but they're not necessarily supposed to be listening. But yes, they can hear. Would you be willing to come up and try that? Come on up! Yay! Awesome. There's a staircase right through the side there.
Price is right.
Would you like to jump in one of the ends? Okay. Okay, so where should we take it from?
I guess wherever we were.
From right there?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so the thing you'd like to address is what is happening at this moment around Isabel and her age?
I was maybe seeing if we could communicate in the line when he's speaking behind the curtain. If I hear something, then we can pass it along the line. Communicate between the workers. Is that possible?
Yeah, let's see what happens.
So she wants to create a line of communication among the workers.
So vamos a seguir desde este punto. ¿A dónde estaban hablando de Isabel?
La señora de aquí, la segunda señora, de la
The second one in the line.
de blusa negra. ¿Es nueva, está de planta o,
Is she
o
new
viene por
or
oficina?
is she a direct hire or is she from the agency?
La señora es nueva, es su primera semana y viene de oficina.
¿Por qué oficina viene?
I think he's talking about the second in the line.
New staffing.
Sácala, no me da el rendimiento, necesito que me saque producción, sácala, lo mando
Take her out of the
comedor.
line, she's not producing.
Señora Isabel, necesito hablar con usted.
Isabel, I need to speak with you.
Señora Isabel, le estoy llamando, necesito hablar con usted.
I'm talking to you, Isabel, come on up.
Por órdenes de la oficina, hoy es su último día en esta compañía. Tiene que agarrar sus cosas y irse.
By orders of the Day Labor Agency, this is your last day of work. You're too old and you're too slow.
Who said freeze?
Hold that thought. Is it in relationship to this offering right now?
Yes.
Well, come on up, and as you come on up and give us that suggestion, I'm going to ask, tell me your name again?
Esria.
Esria. So how did you feel? Did you feel like your message was making it?
I wasn't sure because I couldn't hear past this part of the stage, so I wasn't sure.
So, Pat, what did you hear?
He told me what she said.
What'd she say?
They're messing with her.
They're messing with her. Carmen, ¿usted qué escuchó? Carmen, ¿usted qué escuchó de Pat?
She told me that she told him that they were messing with her. And then he told me, and then I told her.
Y Carmen, ¿usted
Right.
qué escuchó?
¿De quién? Que la están sacando de la línea.
La están sacando de la línea. So Carmen understood they're going to take her out of the line.
Right.
Sandra?
I heard to warn Isabel about they're talking about.
Isabel, how did you feel? ¿Cómo se sintió usted con saber que lo que Sandra le estaba diciendo?
Pues yo me estoy sintiendo bien porque son mis compañeras y me están apoyando.
¿Y usted se sintió más preparada para hablar cuando ella te llamó?
Sí, sí, me sentí más preparada.
Isabel is saying, Doña Isabel is saying that I felt better seeing that my coworkers had my back, and I felt more prepared when my boss came to talk to me. So that was a great suggestion because Isabel didn't feel so alone, which is a huge change from workers in the temp world. Thank you.
That maybe this manager person could take advantage of the fact that white boss man doesn't speak Spanish. So when the senora has to go speak to her, she could say something different and not what he asked her to say, and show some compassion. I mean, she still has to fire her so she can keep her job, but she could express some sympathy or empathy.
So tell me your name.
Mary.
Thank you, Mary, for the suggestion. So Mary's suggestion is specifically for our supervisor, who's being played by Mari Carmen. Levante la mano, Mari Carmen. That she might transfer the information in a kinder way, maybe with a little more empathy or respect, and towards this worker who might still have to leave, but maybe not be so.
But she could also acknowledge, the fact, dummy over here. Employees, many of his employees speak Spanish, but he doesn't bother to learn how to speak Spanish. So I too know that he's an asshole, but I have to keep my own job. But I feel for what you're going through. So be kind of disrupting
A little bit of the order.
a little, resistance, disruption.
So this is a very interesting conundrum we find because in the world of Theater of the Oppressed, this suggestion kind of changes the oppressor in the scenario, which is the supervisor, Mary, because she is barking orders and pushing at them. And by suggesting that she might be kinder or more empathetic, we can call that kind of magic. We call that magical because we know that this worker, this employee is representative of that power structure. So although we could try that, it's kind of hoping and wishing for a different kind of supervisor.
Well, I think as an audience member, though, you could read it a little differently. You could read it as that the manager is just as much a victim of the structure as is Senora.
Well, you try.
I mean, she was probably on the line and then got promoted up to assistant manager. She could pull from her connection to Senora as a woman and as a Latina, and then she could draw from that to break her connection with
Would you like to try it? Would you like to step in?
My Spanish is so
And we have another.
We have another
You guys have a
suggestion over here?
Yo más quería aclarar algo. A veces
You have two
cuando
more.
uno se siente mirado porque uno tiene que quedar bien con el otro. O sea, entre latinos a veces no podemos tener esa empatía, empathy.
So Mari Carmen is explaining that sometimes what's difficult is that even though we're Latinos and we want to have compassion for each other, I can't look bad in front of my boss. And so it's hard for me to show empathy and be softer because my boss is on my neck.
But could she perform it in such a way that she's being stern? But my whole thing is that, like, there's a possibility that she could take advantage of the fact that he doesn't speak Spanish to message something different, even if her body language was still like, oh, señora, like this.
Vamos a dejar que ella trate. So we'd love to see.
Maybe it's magic, but
That's okay. Magic is a try. It's a try,
I like
an
my
attempt.
magical solution.
Okay, so vamos a tratarlo otra vez. Ella habla
The women are coming together.
So I'm going to translate our partner. Ella te va a llamar a hablar. So we should go to the spot where she gets called, right?
Yes.
Venga, doña Isabel, ¿ella ya te llamó? Sí. Sí, yo te ayudo. So I'm going to translate you in Spanish, but you keep talking in English so that they can hear what you're... So, don't worry, you don't have to... So you're going to stand on that side to be her. Yeah, so Mari Carmen's not here. You're going to be her. So you've just called her forward.
Señora,
Señora,
I am really, really, really sorry to have to tell you this.
me siento muy,
And
muy
I'm only
mal
using this loud
decirte,
voice
y solo te
so
estoy
that
hablando en
boss
esta
man thinks
forma
that
fea
I'm chewing
y
your
fuerte
out and
para
I'm-
que el
and that
jefe
I'm
crea que yo le
firing you
estoy
and being
gritando
really
y
mean,
feo,
but I do
pero
have to fire
necesito
you. I have to fire you
despedirte
because I have my own kids to look
porque
after
tengo
and I can't
que
lose
cuidar
this
mis propios
job.
niños y necesito este
But I just
trabajo.
want you to know that I am sorry
Yo
that
quiero
you've
que
been
sepa,
fired in this way.
perdóname, no me gusta que la estoy
But I
despidiendo
just
de esta
also
manera,
wanted to demonstrate that
pero
we don't
quería
have to follow the
demostrar
rules of the disembodied
que
white
no
boys.
teníamos que ser, no teníamos
And
que
that we
ser
can come together as
como
women
él.
and fight their oppression.
El hombre. Vamos, good job. ¿Qué le pareció? Okay, because we only have time for one more intervention, I'm going to move to the Raitero scene because I want us to, or to the end of this scene. What would be more interesting to you, audience? Try to step in when the manager touches one of our workers inappropriately, or go back to the van scene. The van scene? Okay, we got 1 minute and a half. We're going to go with this one. We're going to go with this moment. Vamos a ir a este momento donde usted toca a Valentina. And does anyone have a suggestion right off the bat that they were thinking that would have liked to have done? Okay, we're going to go to the moment when she first talks to Valentina. Vamos a ir donde usted le dice, oh, Valentina.
Oh, Valentina, qué bonitos ojos tienes, Valentina. Y otras cositas más.
What pretty eyes you have, Valentina, and other things too. Should we go further back? In the scene? Does anyone have a potential solution they'd like to try?
The young lady in the corner.
Great, come on. You want to tell us your suggestion? Okay, vamos a tratar eso. Let's try Pat. Will you try to distract her and get his attention? To ask him a question to get him away from Valentina? Normally I'd have you come up, but we've got 10 seconds left. So usted háblele a ella otra vez y ella va a tratar de distraerte. Did she come?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Valentina.
Oh, Valentina.
I need help over
Usted
here.
apúrese a trabajar.
You hurry up and work. Keep working.
Usted apúrese a trabajar. Hey, la línea no está avanzando. Tiene que trabajar.
Hey, excuse me. I think I'm doing something wrong.
Creo que necesito ayuda. Estoy haciendo algo mal. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is Chicago Workers Collaborative Workers Theater Collective, and we hope that you will follow us on Chicago Workers Theater, Chicago Workers Collaborative Facebook page. Adios, muchas gracias. Stay here? We're going to stay here. She said to stay.
Wow, what powerful stories. Stories that often go unseen and unheard. So it was great for you all to share that with us. Thank you. At this time, we're having all of our artists join us on stage. Please join us. Clap them up, clap them up.
Excellent. Thank you.
Keep it going, keep it going. All right. Now is the time for questions. So we have a question. Let's start with a question for Patricia. How did you find, oh man. Oh, recurrent, thank you. How did, oh, thank you, I'm sorry about that. How did you find recruits/participants for Into the Light?
Acquaintances that we knew who were survivors, and they said we could publish their stories and their faces. They agreed to that, and then we set up a website, and we put a survey on there, and people filled it out about, you know, whatever it was that they were going through, who they were, and whether they wanted to participate in the project, and that's how we got more and more and more survivors. So in the end, we had about 300 surveys. I think we photographed and interviewed 85.
All right, a question for the Viola Project. What was the process of learning your monologues and finding these fierce, powerful voices?
So first, we just got them and looked at them and kind of read through and made guesses about what they were about and what was going on. We talked a lot about rhythm and meter and the iambic pentameter and how that affects what we're saying. We also looked at a lot of alliteration and kind of how the word choice affects kind of the message that we're giving. And then we translated them into vernacular so that we could kind of get a better understanding of what we were saying and what we were feeling, or what our characters were feeling, and we worked with each other to make our monologues as good as they can be.
Okay, thank you guys. All right, Resita, very important question here, whoever wrote this down. What are the dates and times of your performances on 79th Street?
So normally people say happens every third Friday, but I'm going to a wedding tomorrow. So we'll be at 79th and Ashland on the 27th of July, starting at 7:30. The actual address is 7955 South Ashland. If you follow Trap House Chicago on Facebook and Instagram, there are all of the flyers up there. You can also follow me on Instagram. I post all of the information every month. Poet Resita, R-E-S-I-T-A, Cox, C-O-X.
Write that down. Was there a specific name of the venue?
It's called Trap House Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you. All right, CWC, I'm coming to you. So, an audience member is wondering, do you all work with Fight for 15?
Para ganar $15 mínimo.
Sí, luchamos junto con los de $15, porque la lucha de todos los trabajadores es la lucha de todos los que son trabajadores de bajos salarios. Creo que todos los trabajadores de una u otra manera estamos unidos.
Yes, we do work with Fight for 15. We try to partner with lots of organizations that are working for workers who are earning low wage pay, because it's our fight, our joint fight.
That's wonderful. Awesome. All right, Jackie. An audience member is wondering, do you have thoughts on white artists depicting black subjects? For example, the white female artist who painted a piece about the death of Emmett Till.
Oh gosh, that's a hard question to answer. I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to answer that question because there's a lot of people, representing, writing and illustrating and doing artwork to tell other people's stories. And it's not like it's bad if you do your research and you're really, doing it well. I don't know the piece that they're specifically referring to, sorry. But I guess it's just going to come from such a different place of, of just having, a connection to it in such a different way. Maybe it's from a more like dissective point of view or a research point of view. So I don't think it's bad necessarily, but there's certainly situations where it can be a little sticky. Even in children's literature, there's a lot of, illustrators depicting other, subjects or whatever that are criticized a lot. So, you just have to be really careful, I suppose, and do it as best as you can.
That was a good answer for a tough question. Definitely a good answer for a very tough question. Alrighty, Latanya, we're wondering, are the stories you tell fiction or true life? And if they are true life, how do you decide what stories to tell?
So at Second Story, all of our stories are true and happen to the teller. So that was a story about a summer camp I went to when, as I shared, my mom got sick that summer. We were tight on cash, and things started going poorly money-wise. But I've told about half a dozen stories with Second Story, and during the process, there's like a 3-month writing process where you say, like, I have a half idea, it should be something. And you are working with other tellers and a curator who help you figure out both like what are the pieces that are important about that story, but I think even more helpfully, the so what of it. Because we all are living our lives and we have these things happen to us and it feels like it just happened, I got through it, it's fine. But what I appreciate about the process is that it helps you slow down and realize how it's connected to these larger things about income inequality or the Black Lives Matter movement, or how to be an empathetic person in a time when it is really easy to not be, and it's really easy to be dismissive of folks who seem to be excited to let the world burn. How do we keep our humanity and stay connected with one another when the disagreements are so deep? So yes, they're true stories, and I try to pick stories about times that I was really afraid or that I really was struggling to figure out something hard, and the people in my life who helped me make those moves and make those connections.
Thank you. All right, another question for Jackie. Do you ever get pushback from authors?
Well, usually there's the editor in between you, so that's why they're there, so that you don't have to, because there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, in the process of making a book. So art directors and editors are kind of the barrier in between, their, vision for what they kind of had in their mind of what it would turn out to be, and usually they give you a lot of freedom. It's kind of amazing the amount of control they do let you have over your, what you want your visual narrative to be. So as of yet, no, they've all been really happy with the work, so it's something that keeps going that direction.
Thank you for that. All right, last question for CWC. So we would like to know what the creative process is for y'all to come up with what stories you tell on stage.
¿Cuál es nuestro proceso creativo para decidir qué cuentos vamos a contar?
¿Alguien más quiere hablar? Nada más una cosa quiero decir de lo pasado que me hablaron de la lucha de los $15. Los trabajadores temporales por oficina ganan el mínimo $8.25 y en Wisconsin $7.75, y eso puede ser hasta por 5, 6, 7, 8 o 10 años. Eso es lo que son los trabajadores temporales de donde nosotros venimos.
So she wanted to just connect back to that question about the Fight for 15 and say that the temp workers will make $8.25 an hour, and that's their rate here. And then in Wisconsin, they make $7.25 to give you a perspective of the rate that a worker makes. Yeah, people are working for 10 years at that rate. Pat, did you want to answer that question that she was asking?
Yes, we get our stories because that's the reality of working at temp agencies. So we sit together and we decide what we think is best to show you all what's really going on so that you'll know what we're dealing with and the real life story of working in a temp agency, and all of us have dealt with it. So that's how we get our story.
When we come up with our stories, do we sit and talk about them?
Yeah, we do have meetings. We have had meetings for months now, so that we'll know which ones is more important to show, and we do the.
But when you first tell your story, is it because you're talking about it? When we first explore the stories, when we're figuring out qué cuento vamos a contar, when we're figuring out what our feelings are or what our experiences are.
Son experiencias que nosotros vivimos.
Hi. How we pick these stories is we come together in a group and we collaborate with one another. We do workshops, like some of the best workshops that were quick and easy, even in 5-10 minutes, writing down the bones. So what the poet was doing was a great example of that. And even the storyteller, she was picking out parts of her life that she can tell the story with as little words as possible. So when she was explaining, I felt sweat. The room got small. I was walking down a small path. I can only see the house. She was giving you her story, and that's how we collaborate and get the stories to tell you. From our life experiences, we collaborate with one another, and we act them out. So that's how we pick the stories.
Awesome. Thank you.
And sometimes there's no words. And sometimes it's just images that is the heart of a moment. And then we find the words that go with those images. So we do writing exercises and physical work.
Wow, that's great. Thank you to each and every last one of our artists. Please give it up one more time. Thank you all so much. We appreciate your presence and your work. Thank you. All right, everybody, before we go, we just want to give you one last reminder that we will be having our annual luncheon, 9/18/18. Write it down, September 18th, 2018 at the Hyatt. If you'd like to learn more, please visit us at cfw.org/luncheon. Thank you so much for coming out. Give it up for yourselves. Give it up for the artists. And everybody get home safe. Thank you all.